Welcome to part 2 of how to become a putting machine. Today we're going to be talking about the actual putting stroke. If you haven't seen part 1, I strongly encourage you to go back and check that out. It kind of gives you an overview or an introduction in what we're going to cover in this series of video lessons on becoming a putting machine. I was going to start out talking about the putting stroke by saying that it really doesn't matter what type of putting stroke you have. But Jordan Spieth says that so much better than I do, so let's hear it from him.
It doesn't all have to be matching exactly what it was at this moment in time. I mean, my stroke at one of the best putting tournaments I ever had was the 2015 Tour Championship at East Lake. My stroke that year on a Sam Putt Lab compared to my stroke at the 2015 Masters, I got them compared right after both weeks, and they were very different putting strokes, and they were both tremendous putting weeks. And that just proves to me that it doesn't really matter. It's about the consistency and how confident I am in the setup and then the speed matching up. So when I can see that there are different but similar results, it's a confidence boost for me.
The point of all of that is that some people try to teach you, oh, you need a big arc in your putting stroke, almost like opening and closing a gate. Other folks are going to say, oh, no, you need a pendulum stroke, straight back and straight through. And yet other coaches and teachers are going to say, well, just the physical anatomy of the way that your shoulders and your body works, it's impossible to make a purely pendulum stroke. It's going to have some arc no matter what you do. And then other folks are saying, oh, you need to develop a stroke like Brandt Snedeker that's really wristy, and you pronate, or you don't pronate, but you flex and unflex. And listen, that doesn't matter. The only things that matter are that you have a putting stroke that gets the ball rolling instead of bouncing or skidding, because if it bounces or skids, it's like your car sliding on ice or slick streets. It goes offline. You really can't control it. So a stroke that gets the ball rolling on the right line so that at least is going in the right direction to get to the hole at the right speed, and then that you can do that consistently. That's it. That's all that matters. How you do that really is of no importance in the big scheme of things. So today we're going to talk about how to get the ball rolling on the right line consistently. Then in other videos in this series, we'll fill in and support the other elements of that. Let's get started. To get the ball rolling on the right line, you've got to start with a proper setup. So we're going to talk about setup, and then I'll give you a drill that once you're set up, actually a pair of drills or little simple tricks that you can use to practice at home or out on the practice green that will help you make a stroke that gets the ball rolling and gets it on the right line. First, you have to set up properly over the ball. Tiger Woods talks about setting up with his eyes directly over and slightly behind the ball so that he can see down the line. Your dominant eye should be over the ball. Which eye that is varies from player to player, and some people have much more difficulty getting their eyes over the ball than others. We could spend so much more time on setup and ball position and things related to setup, but those are so individual and unique to each player that they're better covered in a separate video purely on setup or in a lesson. The last really important element in your setup is your posture. That varies a great deal from person to person. Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus both bent way over the ball. Tiger Woods tends to stand up a little straighter. Again, that varies. The key thing is your arms hang freely so that you can make a smooth stroke down the line. The folks at Sam Putt Lab, and SAM stands for Science and Motion, they use ultrasound to analyze your putting stroke. And they've discovered that the best putting stroke is not one that's hitting down on the ball, because that causes the ball to dig in the turf and bounce. The best stroke is also not one that is, they call a high launch. It's hitting up on the ball, causes the ball to get airborne and then bounce before it starts rolling. The best stroke is one that hits the ball perfectly square on the equator with a slight rise angle. Yes, the ball slides a little bit, but it gets rolling very quickly. And here's a simple way that you can incorporate into your practice to strike the ball on the equator so that it gets rolling and stops bouncing very quickly. Simply take a pencil out of your golf bag, put it behind your putter, and work on stroking the equator of the golf ball with the sweet spot of your putter and not hitting the pencil. Make that stroke over and over and over. Now that we have a stroke that gets the ball rolling, let's talk about how to make sure we keep the putter face square to the line during the stroke. You simply take two 2x4s, or you can take one 2x4. You probably got enough scrap lumber around your house to do this. Mine are cut down to about 8 inches because in my mind, that's that critical area where I want to keep the club face square to my target line. You put those in the floor and then you simply line up and put your putter in the middle, square to the line. And I know my shadow is kind of dimming this a little bit, but you can get the idea. And then you just make your putting stroke. And you try to groove that stroke. You make some smaller strokes and then some larger strokes. Want to get to the point where you can do this over and over again. Just make a smooth putting stroke. Doesn't matter what you do on the takeaway. If you've got a big arc, that's okay. If you're more straight back and straight through with a small arc, that's okay. Doesn't matter on the follow through, as long as in this area, while the ball is on the putter face, you are straight down the line. You get really good at making that work. Tighten up your blocks where that's really tight. There's no room for error. And then see how well you can do. I clipped that one a little bit. Much better. Again, in the hitting area, your putter is traveling straight down the line. Work on doing that until you can do it 100 times in a row. And by the way, out on the putting green, you can do the same thing with a chalk line or 2 chalk lines. Or if you're worried, I have a really nice expensive putter, I don't want to beat it up or ding it up if I miss and hit the 2x4s, great. You can put a couple of books down to do that. That works fine as well. The idea is you can use even golf ball boxes. Line up several of them on each side. What you want to work on is a stroke that gets the ball straight back and straight through over and over again. You want to tighten it up. The idea, I work on this. When I really work on this, I'll do 100 of these in a session. And I'll go sometimes 2 or 3 weeks at a time where I work on that 100 times. And I won't quit until I can make it 100 times in a row without touching at all and get it down to this tight. And then go back and forth 100 times without touching. And that's not easy. But I tell you, it makes a huge difference in your stroke. And then you can do the same drill working on both rolling the ball and line at the same time. You set up with your books or your 2x4s or whatever to help you make the stroke down the line. You put the pencil immediately behind the ball so that you have to hit it on the equator with the putter a little bit off the ground. Then you make your stroke. And I kind of caught the book a little bit on the backswing, but again, it didn't matter because in the critical area, striking the ball was straight through. That's what you want to work on. You get to where you can do that 100 times in a row. You're not hitting the books or the boards that you have on the side. You're striking the ball squarely and you're not hitting the pencil. You've got a stroke that will get the ball rolling on the right line. So practice that, work on it until you get to the place where you can make 100 strokes in a row without hitting the books or the boards, whatever you have set up to help you keep the line, and without hitting the pencil so that you strike the ball on the equator and get it rolling When you can do that 100 times in a row, you will have an amazing putting stroke, and you'll be well on your way to becoming a putting machine. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, place your comments below on what you think of this drill. If you've used it, has it helped you? Is this video series helping you? What you'd like to see? We're open to your comments and appreciate the interactions, because this channel really is about helping you make more putts, and I want to do everything possible to help you with that. So like, subscribe, comment, share this video with your friends, and we'll see you with the next tip or drill and the next video in this series on becoming a putting machine.